One day, I woke up and walked out to a creepy, impressionistic portrait of myself and decided enough was enough. I took the painting off the wall, dragged it downstairs to the dumpster, and tossed it in. Good riddance. But when I came home from work, it was back on its place on the wall. I was beginning to question my sanity. I tossed it out again, but the next morning when I woke up, it was back on the wall, and its lip was curled, like it was smiling. I had to go to work, and since I didn't want to run down to the dumpster again, I just turned it around so it was facing the wall. At least that way it couldn't watch me. When I came home from work, I considered trying to throw it away one more time, or burn it. But I was exhausted after a long day, and since it was still facing the wall, its eyes no longer following me, I left it there and had dinner and spent the evening scrolling through images of exotic plants, my newest fixation. Decided I would deal with the creepy, cursed thing in the morning. I did notice, though, as I was getting ready for bed, that it was crooked. I straightened it on the wall and went to bed. In the middle of the night, I was woken by a loud crash. When I rushed out to see what had caused it, I found that the painting had fallen from the wall. Its frame was cracked. Frowning, I nudged it with my toe, flipped it over. The canvas on the other side was torn and empty. Completely empty. There was no figure in the painting, and suddenly I had that feeling again, so strong. That feeling of eyes. I backed to the corner of the living room, scanning all corners of my apartment. The sofa, the table, the kitchen area across the open bar, the windows. Where were the eyes watching me from? Where? I was still standing there with my heart hammering like I was about to go into cardiac arrest, looking in disbelief at the broken painting and wondering what was going on when tum, 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 this patter of footsteps and a click. My bedroom door had just closed. Immediately, I called the police to report an intruder. But while I was on the phone with the dispatcher trying not to sound insane while I described the painting and the figure that was missing from it, suddenly it struck me that this might be one more part of the prank. That one of my friends, the one who might have been making alterations to the painting, could have snuck in to make some final adjustments. And maybe after they accidentally knocked the painting off the wall and caused the crash, they ran into my room to hide from me. Not entirely plausible, but then neither were the fears I was babbling to this 911 operator. She assured me they'd send someone out. I think she assumed I was high as a kite, but also that it was better to be safe than sorry. Or maybe she just thought I needed a wellness check. I'd have thought so too, after being on that call with me. While waiting for their arrival, In case it was a prank, I steeled myself and went to the bedroom door. Then, just to be on the safe side, I grabbed a kitchen knife. A knife I swore I wouldn't use unless I knew for sure it wasn't one of my friends. And then I went back to the bedroom door, shoved it open, and brandished the knife while yelling. Standing next to my bed was my reflection. No, not my reflection, but that's what it looked like. It was me, but the hair was messier. Like the brush strokes weren't quite finished, and the clothes were not quite right, almost a strange mix of everything I wore all put together. Like the painter couldn't decide on which outfit, so went with them all. But the smile was sharp enough, as were the eyes. And the not me looked at me and raised its hand. In that hand it held a painted version of my knife. Shit, I gasped. Shit, its lips imitated. I don't know which of us lunged first. Probably the painted me. Real me was just standing there in shock. Next thing I knew, I felt the thunk of an impact in my stomach. And then, I don't even know how to describe. The painted knife handle was sticking out of me, and where the blade entered the skin, paint flecked away instead of blood. Instinct kicked in and I fought like a wildcat, slashing and stabbing, dragging my knife through that other me in a slicing motion, again and again. The other me opened its mouth in a scream, but all I heard was the ragged sound of canvas ripping. It made a final effort to cut through me, but then my last slice tore it in two. It went limp, only a ragged piece of canvas. I was bleeding from a deep gash in my belly. I believe I lost consciousness. Paramedics later told me they'd found me on the floor, bleeding from a knife wound. Draped over me was a canvas that I'd apparently cut free from the broken frame. They made me get a psych eval. You see, there was no evidence of anyone else in my apartment. The authorities believed that I got angry at the painting, tore it apart, and somehow accidentally stabbed myself in my frenzy. When I finally returned home, the painting, the broken frame, and what was left of the canvas were gone. Not a trace of them, not a scrap. And I've been wondering ever since, what would have happened if I hadn't woken up? Was it going to kill me? Or was it going to somehow put me in the painting and perhaps take my place? I'll never know, because the painting is gone. Gone. From my life, at least. But here's the thing. One of my friends sent me a link recently. Told me they stumbled across it on an art website. The painting is back up on sale. For the love of God, do not buy.